The movie begins with parallels similar to the classic American horror film The Conjuring, featuring a Korean family in the middle of a move. Jin Seok, the film's protagonist, lives with his mother, father, and older brother Yoo Seok. Right from the start, Jin Seok doesn't feel at ease in the family's new home. He seems to sense that something is wrong, and this feeling is amplified when, one night shortly after moving in, he witnesses the abduction of his brother, Yoo Seok, who is brutally dragged into a car. After nearly 3 weeks, Yoo Seok reappears and carries on as if nothing happened, which obviously leads Jin Seok to wonder exactly what has been going on since his family moved into their new house. He also begins to notice strange irregularities in his mother and father's behavior, leading him to discover that the people he is living with are not his real family at all, but people pretending to be them. Completely panicked by his recent discovery, Jin Seok rushes out of the house and goes straight to the police station. There, he is greeted by a skeptical officer who doesn't seem to believe his implausible story, which isn't surprising. Suspecting something is off, the officer asks Jin Seok what year it is. Our protagonist replies that he thinks it's 1997. Of course, this is far from the case, as it is actually 2017. Jin Seok is in reality a 41-year-old man, not the 21-year-old he has believed himself to be for nearly 20 years. What a day! Jin Seok obviously refuses to believe the officer at first until he looks around. He sees clear signs that life has evolved since 1997, a tablet and a smartphone, clearly indicating we are no longer in the late 90s. And if he needed further confirmation, an LED TV is broadcasting a report on the current Korean President Moon Jae-in and his American counterpart at the time, Donald Trump, who in 1997 was just a famous businessman. This whole ordeal is obviously very confusing for Jin Seok, but upon leaving the police station, he is quickly captured by his new family, who had already been holding him captive before his escape. The man posing as his older brother begins to fill in the gaps in Jin Seok's memory. He claims that 20 years ago, a woman and her teenage daughter were brutally murdered. Since the police failed to solve the case, the murdered woman's family hired him to help find the person responsible for these heinous crimes. He informs Jin Seok that he is actually the one responsible for the murders, and that he had even confessed to them, though he obviously doesn't remember. In flashbacks, we see Jin Seok being kidnapped, tortured, and forced to confess, but it's clear these confessions were made under duress. A psychiatrist claims that Jin lost all memory of the event because it was too traumatizing for him to relive over and over. It was suggested that he be hypnotized to return to his last happy memory, and the psychiatrist attempts the procedure. The theory was that if he could remember what happened back then, he might fully regain his memories and be able to tell the police and the brother exactly what happened. Everything was going according to plan until the night Jin Seok saw his brother get kidnapped. It turns out the fake brother had actually been arrested for fraud and detained for those 19 days in prison. Back in the present, Jin Seok escapes his captors again. The van he is in crashes, and as he tries to flee the scene, he is hit by another car. Fortunately, this impact triggers the return of his memories from the 1997 incident. We are then taken back to 1997 and the film's opening scene, but this time, Jin Seok is with his real family. In a crazy twist, we see Jin Seok, his brother, and their parents involved in a fatal car accident. It claims the lives of both parents and injures Yoo Seok so severely that he eventually dies from the impact shortly after. Unfortunately for young Jin Seok, he lacks the money to pay for his brother's surgery, and the family doesn't have adequate medical insurance to cover the costs. At this time, Korea is also facing a severe economic crisis, making it even harder for Jin Seok to find funds. Needing money fast, he goes online to look for work and is contacted almost immediately by a mysterious anonymous figure. The offer comes as a murder contract. The person wants Jin Seok to kill someone's wife, but under no circumstances are the children to be harmed. Desperate for the money to pay for his brother's surgery, Jin Seok decides to go through with the plan. However, at the last moment, he changes his mind. As he is about to leave, the mother and daughter see him, and he ends up killing them anyway to silence them. Amidst the chaos, a small boy appears, but Jin Seok tells him to go back inside and go to sleep. Jin Seok then discovers that the family he massacred is actually actually the family of the doctor treating his brother at the hospital. He confronts the doctor, demanding to know why someone would want their own wife killed. The doctor reveals that the 1997 financial crisis ruined him, and he took out multiple insurance policies to ensure his children wouldn't end up homeless. It turns out the doctor couldn't help himself and was too tempted to cash in his wife's life insurance, hiring Jin Seok to eliminate her. But since Jin Seok accidentally killed the daughter too, the doctor reveals he cannot let Jin Seok's brother live, as Jin must pay for his daughter's life. An enraged Jin Seok reacts as you might imagine, and a struggle ensues between him and the doctor. The doctor is accidentally pushed to his death. It seems Jin's brother might be saved, but sadly, he succumbs to his injuries. We return to the present. Jin Seok wakes up in the hospital after being hit by the car. The young man from the van, who had initially forced Jin into the vehicle, suddenly appears and attempts to poison him, before Jin informs him that his memory has returned. In another twist, the man reveals to Jin Seok that he is actually the child whose mother and sister Jin murdered 20 years ago. He tells Jin he was forced to grow up in an orphanage because relatives took all the family money. He begs to know why Jin didn't kill him too, and asks who was ultimately responsible and if his father was involved, as he had long suspected. Jin Seok, in an apparent moment of grief, lies to the young man and claims he was solely responsible for the horrible crimes, attempting to spare him the guilt his father should have borne. Of course, the man doesn't believe him, reading between the lines of Jin's reaction. Jin Seok is now fully aware of the role he played all those years ago. He takes the syringe the young man had initially used to threaten him and plunges it deep into his own body, ending his life. At the same moment, the young man realizes what happened and who was responsible. Ultimately unable to handle the grief he has suppressed for the last 20 years, he decides to jump from the hospital window to his death. As the film reaches its somber conclusion, the final scene shows Jin Seok and his family in 1997 at a park. Jin is approached by a friendly little boy offering a lollipop, but Jin politely declines the generous offer. We then see the story come full circle as the little boy runs back to his family. It is revealed that the little boy offering the lollipop is, in fact, the doctor's son, the man who eventually assisted Jin in his own suicide. As always, thanks for watching today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Also, if you want to do us a favor, don't forget to like and share today's review. Thanks guys, and goodbye.